Disclaimer. The material in this podcast is not to be taken as a replacement for therapeutic services. This is for entertainment purposes and represents the sole perspectives of the individuals involved. If you are experiencing an emergency, please contact the appropriate authorities or professionals. Good afternoon and welcome to episode 8 of the TikDocs podcast. I am your lovely, beautiful host, Caitlin Baker, and this is my co-host.
You're even lovelier, more beautiful co-host. I'm Dr. Terrell DeGans, and I am that black doctor on TikTok.
Oh yeah, I'm that fat doctor on TikTok. Forgot that part. Today, T, we're going to talk about what is a Karen?
And before you guys are like, oh God, I don't want to get into this. We're starting off salty, y'all. We're coming in salty. We're probably leaving a little bit saltier than we started, but it's all going to come out here.
We are both in a mood today, and I was like, I need to rip into a topic. What can we rip into? Here we go.
Who's in a mood? All right, so before we get copyright infringements, let's ask you, what do you think is a Karen? How do you define a Karen?
So when the term first started originating, it was in regards to retail workers and the people that would give them flack or like ask for discounts or, throw money at them or whatever, ask for the manager at a restaurant. That's a Karen. But now it's evolved to like any middle-aged woman who does something you don't like is now just called a Karen. I feel so bad for people that are named Karen. My mother-in-law's name is Karen.
My mother's named Karen. But to be fair, she can be a Karen sometimes. So
so my mother-in-law is I'm like no cap. She is like the least Karen person you could ever meet in your entire life.
And for everyone who's below and above a certain age, no cap means no lie. We do have a diverse group of listeners / watchers.
Yes, we do. So, let's talk about like the difference between our generation and Gen Z, and then who has the problem with the Karens? Where is Karen? Where did just all the Karen stuff?
Yeah. Okay. So let's have a more clearly defined, I guess, idea of a Karen. If you, as a person, feel entitled to someone else's effort, or you're entitled to get special treatment, even if you do not fit criteria for that, that is very Karen-esque. What does that mean? Glad you asked. So,
what does that mean, T?
Glad you asked. So, the retail version is pretty obvious. If someone tells you the price of something and you don't like it, and therefore you want a special price, you're a Karen. That's the price. That's what it is. If someone is doing basically anything in their own life that has no effect on you and you're personally outraged by it, you're a Karen. You're not entitled to change other people's realities because you don't like it.
That's a perfect description.
Thank you.
I wanted to go into the politics of it, and he was like, no, we're not going there. When I think of Karen, what instantly pops into my head is like a 45-year-old woman with a bob haircut with like spiked in the, like that mom haircut. It's also a white woman in my head always. And I think that is kind of across the board. I feel like a Karen to me I think every single aspect I've ever seen it has been towards some privileged white woman who's throwing a fit about not getting what she wants.
That's the meme / stereotype. But there are many versions of Karens. I've known many minority mothers who are very Karen-esque. So no, it's not just white women. But to be very, very clear, because it happens to others doesn't mean it's okay. Like that's not the world we're living in, where it's just okay to expect something different because you don't want it to be that way.
I don't know where where do people come off so freaking entitled that they're like, this is a corporate store, of like a chain store, and this item says $10, but I'm gonna pay you $8 because who the fuck do you think you are?
Oh, I
No.
was wondering how long it take before we get the explicit rating.
Never long
So
with me.
since we're there, that is a conversation that happens with every generation, and it's not so much a conversation as a verbal beatdown. Like, why do you guys feel so entitled? Why does this next generation feel so entitled? We're all growing up and raised to be entitled to some extent because we're all the special kids that can be anything they want. No, we're not. Let's be honest. You need a range of abilities, a range of skills, and not all of them are valued in the same way. Hence why we have essential workers who are getting paid less than the very non-essential workers that we have. Yeah. So this is going to get way deeper than I expected to. So I'm going to
I mean, so Karen is representative of a whole subgroup of people who think that they are deserving more so than other populations or whatever the case may be. So it does go deeper. Karen is just like the tip of the iceberg, the name itself and the memes, but there is definitely a deeper level.
Yeah. So when you really look at how people interact with one another, there's always going to be a set of people that are really generous and kind and cooperative, and there's going to be a subset that are the exact opposite of that. The ones that want to be individualized more so than anyone else, want to be considered to be special and better than. And that is a part of society which you can't get rid of, but you can discourage it. And if you discourage it within yourself, and you discourage it within your groups, and you discourage it within your community, then you have a better outlook for the growth of the community as a whole.
So you're saying that we need to stand up to the Karens as a whole, as a unit.
And as individuals, if you have someone in your life that feels like they need to be better than, or cannot have anything that's not just for them, or doesn't allow others to have things that are just for them because they require that support, that's an issue. That should be something that you can discuss. But for so long, we kind of push like you should go and get your own, grab your brass ring, like take that, that's yours, and then that mentality doesn't have its limit. So then we have a society that's ending up like, I don't want this to be happy, I want more. And that's a very American mindset. I just want more, and more doesn't have an end. So that leads to a lot of behaviors that we're seeing now that we characterize and caricaturize as Karens.
Yeah, that's a great point. And going off of that, when you're think about, back in the day where it was the whole the American dream thing, and you work hard, you get what you deserve. And I think people have that same mindset now, and it's hard for me to understand because I am someone who has never felt worthy of anything. And I'm always I try to be kind to everybody. I'm at a restaurant. I used to work at a restaurant, so I will stack up our plates and stuff and put them all together so people don't have to do extra work. That's just who I am as a person. So it's really hard sometimes for me to get my head around the fact that some people are just genuinely so self-centered with this feeling of entitlement. Because I'm like, where did you get that from? Because I didn't get that. I don't know who was raising y'all. But then if you go back and you look at what T just said and what I'm saying about how America was built, it's very much individualistic, everyone out for themselves. However, I think with millennials, we're getting into more of a collectivist society. And that's more of the mindset. And I think that's where that riff is occurring. And we just have two generations with completely different political views and world views and life views and perspectives, and it's clashing.
Yeah, and it's rough to deal with that. And I know from a lot of experience because I worked customer service most of my life. And if you want to count therapy as a form of customer service, then all of it. I've dealt with people with all different backgrounds, all different perceptions and experiences, and I'm a somewhat young black male therapist. Most people I come across are nowhere near anything that I am. So you start seeing how people have these judgments of you from the second they see you. And I've discussed with many clients how when I walk in a room, they thought, oh God, that's my therapist. What am I going to learn from this person? Well, guess what? Those are the clients that I work with the best because they don't know what to expect. They don't have this preconceived notion of what's going to happen. They think nothing's going to happen. Their expectations are low and they're surprised by everything. So I have a lot of feathers in my cap. I've helped people with severe addiction issues. I've helped people with severe emotional instability. I've helped people connect to people they've never connected to before in their lives because we're working on things that they could never get to. Once you start having that mindset, like it's only this way, then you start limiting yourself.
Yeah, I like that. It ties in perfectly with the whole, like, a Karen is, to me, someone that's unwilling to change their views. And that speaks perfectly to what you just said. There's this rigidness, I don't know, words.
Rigidity was right.
It's a word, I think. But there is with, like, this mindset of, like, I want what I want and I deserve it. And nobody can tell me otherwise. And I'm like, who the hell are you?
It's one thing when you kind of feel like you deserve it. It's another one when you're trying to take it. And it just reminded me of one story which I can't stand that this happened. So, story time. When I used to work in TJ Maxx for about a year, and I rose up the ranks really quickly. So I started at markdowns where we scan, you get the little red sticker. It's basically the cheapest it's going to be for a while. So when I did that, I moved up the ranks really quickly, and then I ended up touching all the money in the store. I was basically the pseudo manager. I did everything in that store. So I knew what all the prices were. I knew when they came in. I knew what everything was. I was doing registers and all of that. So I'm helping out at registers, and this lady brings up these pair of shorts, and she's like, how much are these? This doesn't have a price tag on it. Well, guess what, bitch? I put those shorts out this morning, like an hour and a half ago, and because I like them so much, I had a separate pair put aside so I can buy them later. So they're $28.99. I'm pretty sure they're like 10, maybe 15. Nope.
Pretty sure.
I know the exact price. I touched everything in this store. It's exactly $28.99. So you can either put it aside or you can buy it at full price. And the level of anger in this woman's tone and face when I gave her the exact price that I was supposed to not know, as if I was supposed to just give her whatever she said the price was. No, not today.
So that's so funny that you worked at TJ Maxx. I worked at Kohl's when I was an undergrad. And I also very quickly moved through the ranks and was doing the customer service. And then I started doing, like, counting registers at night and being a pseudo manager as well. But so working in customer service is where people return things. Let me tell you about some people who we have people that would bring in used underwear, and Kohl's return policy was you can return anything as long as it's from Kohl's. So we had to return that and give them money back for it. I've had people absolutely screaming at me.
We're on fish.
Because, like, their Kohl's cash was expired, and I'm like, if you were nice, I could have given it off. Like, I could have taken $10 off, but no, you're mean. So $10 extra for you.
Yep. Congratulations.
It's so, like, being nice gets you so far in life. I just don't understand, like, everyone has bad days. I get that. You don't have to be on and nice and friendly all the time. I'm pretty salty today, but I'm able to maintain, like, a pleasant demeanor and still not scream at retail workers who make minimum wage.
That's another topic. We'll probably get into wages at some point. But yeah, agreed. You don't have to take it out on those people, and there's no reason to. there are plenty of people in your life that understand why you're upset and you can get it out in a very healthy way. The probably teenager or really sad adult that is barely scraping by, trying to sell you a shirt or maybe sign you up for a car that they were forced to by their manager to give to you. They don't need that stuff. They don't have the wherewithal to deal with it. They're not specifically trained to deal with it. Go see a therapist.
For sure.
As Caitlin would say, go the fuck to therapy.
As Caitlin would say. Yeah, so I just felt like I needed to touch on Karens because I've been dealing with a few in my own life recently. So this topic is irrelevant. We're not going to talk about that because I'll get myself into some trouble. But
your problems are not real problems most of the time. That's why you're called Karens. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not. There are real problems in the world.
Yeah. I think like the term in itself is funny and why that particular name stuck. Who knows? I mean, Karen's been around for years. Like the memes have been around for years, but it wasn't until I honestly think that TikTok really made it take off because they were filming Karens in action, like at stores and things and posting them, and those videos were going viral, and then it just kind of spiraled. Same with like okay boomer.
People get so upset about that. Even when you're technically a boomer, that's not even an insult.
I've gotten that a few times on my TikToks. I'm like, I'm 26. Oh, but I use it on my parents all the time. Like we'll be having some petty argument and I'll just be like, okay, boomer. They don't know what it means, so it's fine. But like I feel like it's such a generational divide, but it's not just a generational thing anymore. It's more of a societal and political thing more than just these young whippersnappers and their rock and roll keeping me like. This is different. This is talking about human rights and human value, and I'm trying really hard not to go into politics.
No, I commend you for that. The thing is, no change occurs without pushback. No legitimate change anyway. And I have all this knowledge and I don't remember where any of it comes from. But there's basically a quote or saying where change occurs through law before it changes through society. So someone's going to pass the law and then people just accept it. If it didn't start that way, we would still have segregation everywhere. And that's getting into a whole much like crazier topic than I'm willing to get into for
which
this
we
podcast.
are. So I did want to, that's a really good point because it is February, which is Black History Month. So next week we are going to do a segment on race,
culture, just experiences, and really dive deep into it. So I'm probably going to be spilling all the tea on that episode, but not today, folks. Let's hold off for a little bit.
Yeah, just want to. I'm really excited about that, so I wanted y'all to be excited about it too. So I'm going to transition into our next topic because I think that this one I can really get angry with. So our next topic is let's talk about diagnoses and stigma and society and their use of the words that are diagnoses in really inappropriate ways. T listed OCD. It's one of my
bipolar. Oh my. Okay. So I am so tired of hearing, oh my God, I'm just so bipolar today. I was like really happy in the morning and now I'm just like blah. You're not fucking bipolar. You're just annoying.
Okay, so okay. This is where it becomes a problem, right? So now those words get thrown around in society like, oh, I'm so OCD. I had to make a to-do list today. Or like the example he used, oh, I'm so bipolar. The problem is that these phrases, people then come into us to see us. And they're like, oh, I think I'm this and this and this. And then it makes our job just that much more difficult to try to undo and explain like what those diagnoses actually are, why they don't fit the criteria. And I think that it takes away from our profession as a whole to just say like everyone has some kind of mental health disorder at this. I think that that's a big issue I've been noticing. On TikTok, people are like, oh, mental health is so trendy right now. And I was like, trendy?
No,
What?
no.
So I think that like those buzzwords add to that, and then it makes our job more difficult. But I get it. Like the general public does not have the knowledge that we do about what those actual diagnoses mean. So I'm debating if we should go into a little bit about like which each one of those kind of ones that are thrown out the most actually some of the criteria from the DSM, or
I would say if you really are interested in knowing, you can Google them. There's a lot of actual reputable information on what these things mean. It's not our job to give you that information. You can speak to your individual therapist about it, but know that the way it's being used casually, it has an effect on people, and it's not okay. I understand that you want to kind of just get across like you're having a shift in mood. You can say, I'm not feeling well today. I was feeling better this morning. Or you want to say like I'm really anxious about something, or I want to make sure this is neat or clean or organized. That's fine. That's what it is though. It's not OCD. It's not bipolar. You're not manic because you're happy. You're just happy. These are major differences, and it makes a huge difference when you're speaking to people that have these things. So when you're coming across someone that has actual anxiety, like severe anxiety, and you're making it seem like it's just this kind of playful thing, well, now they can't trust you with information. And now they're really anxious about talking to you because you could just give that information away. Or they're comparing themselves to you, thinking you actually have anxiety, and see themselves as worse because they're not able to do that. It has an effect. You just don't know it yet.
yeah, absolutely. I also think it's so, again, like this whole trendy thing is very hurtful. I think it's great that there is more awareness about mental health and it's being talked about more. However, the way in which it's being talked about is kind of where I take issue, in that it is just like a cool, trendy, like who can have the most depressive paragraph or like the most uplifting paragraph about their depression on Instagram. And like it gets, and I don't mean, it's so hard because I'm like, I don't want to invalidate anybody, but at the same time, like when you've worked with people who have such severe depression that they cannot get out of bed, their hair is completely matted, like to me, like that's the severe depression that y'all are describing, and then you're describing your symptoms, and I'm like, no. And I think again that's just lack of education about this, and the more that mental health is talked about, and hopefully people are listening and learning, but right now it's not so hot.
It's difficult to hear and it's difficult to see, but I think what really makes it kind of hit home for me is that I have a lot of people in my life that have a lot of different concerns, and like I'm not going to diagnose them because it's not my job, but they really struggle every single day. And it's not to say that I don't have issues too. And I think my biggest concern for myself is that I hold everything in because I tend not to trust people with information, which is kind of a curse of having knowledge because you tend to feel like you already have that information. Where are you seeking it from? So when I'm dealing with something and I'm feeling extra salty during the day and I'm feeling down, I feel like there's no one to reach out to. So imagine having that feeling and then trying for once to reach out to someone and they're like, oh yeah, me too. Completely invalidating your feelings. Oh yeah, I feel that all the time, but it's not the same. And that completely takes the wind out of your sails and it prevents you from reaching out again. That's
And
why I
that's,
do that.
go ahead.
Sorry, I said that's why I tend not to do that.
I was gonna say that's the difference between having a therapist and talking to a friend. Whereas a friend is someone that's just kind of going to be like, try to sympathize with you, try to find common ground, similar experiences to make you feel better. You go to a therapist, they're not just going to say, oh, like, me too.
Yeah.
No. Have I disclosed some of my own issues in therapy? Yes, with clients who absolutely needed it and needed to see, I don't want to say a success story, but someone who used to not leave their house for like a year at a time become successful. So I do share in time in, that kind of context, but that's the difference. So people think that therapy is just like going into like, it's not. We're going to listen to you. We're going to hear that pain. We're going to not just wipe it away, because we know it's not that simple. It isn't just I'm sad today. It's I'm sad chronically, deep down. Yeah, there's a difference.
But while we're on the topic, so I want everyone to kind of take stock of what's going on in their lives. Like, if you got this far in the podcast, kudos to you. If you're feeling down or upset or anxious, why? Why is that? What can you do to make that better for yourself? What have you been doing to make that better for yourself? If nothing, why not? So, because I feel like self-disclosure helps our podcast feel more real, I'm out in the world. I'm like interacting with people, and in a somewhat still guarded way, I'll say, like, I have stronger feelings for people in terms of friends and like possible dating and stuff like that than I share. And the reason for that is because like I am in this quest for happiness now, to have something that's more relevant for me. And I really hope to have that, and I know I want that. But the biggest issue is that I just came out of something and I don't know how much to trust. I don't know who to trust. And I know I have really close friends and people I can always reach out to. But one, I don't. And two, even if I did, it doesn't change the fact that I feel like I need to still grow as a person. And all of the external help doesn't really help with that. It can be all the support I need, but it needs to come from inside. So I think a lot of the feelings that I have that are kind of lower come from me wanting to be a stronger individual, but not really knowing what that means in terms of what steps I need to take. So that's what I'm working on currently. And it sucks because all I want to do is break things and be like, I'm better. But like, I know that's not how you get there.
That is a technique that helps relieve some of the stress. Just go to one of those Wreck-It rooms or whatever and break some shit.
Yeah, I need to invest in like.
But long term, yeah, probably no, not a solution. And I'm really glad that you shared that, because I've known you for a while, and I've always felt like there was this like we were colleagues, and you were like, this is work. You don't get to know anything about me. I knew nothing about T, his personal life. I knew that he had a condo, I think, and that he liked technology, and where he went to school. And that's about it. Oh, and he likes Disney songs. But Hercules is his favorite Disney movie. I remember that. Do not ask me why I remember that.
I love you so much remembering that, because I literally, when I'm feeling down, and obviously I'm kind of in the down state now, I just listen to the soundtrack on repeat. It helps me so much. I can go the distance, y'all. I can go the
distance, y'all. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I'm really proud of you, because I'm someone that likes information about people, and I pry because it's just who I am. And I like noticed that hesitancy with him, and I pulled back and was like, okay, he's just very professional, and professional in that sense, but
yeah, I'm also the person that listens to you for like your personal stuff, and I'm clearly not as professional in those situations.
Yeah, so I spilled all my secrets to T, and then I knew nothing about him. So the fact that you're working on that is fantastic, except for the part where you should reach out for people, but you don't.
And this is where people are going to connect with me. It's so easy to say, and then so hard to do. And I've done better recently. Like the whole thing in the past few podcasts, like I've reached out to multiple friends to kind of help me get my mind right for stuff like that. But every time it's like this draining experience because you have to kind of relive all those thoughts and feelings again to have that shared. And I think that's the piece that gets to people so much. It's not that you're just dealing with it, but now you need to flood those emotions back out and then
Mhm.
put them out into the universe again so that you can get the appropriate type of feedback.
Right,
And that's what
right.
makes it so much harder when you don't have that right person to like take in that information, because then you're like, yeah. So what do you want to drink? I'm like, you're not fucking helping right now.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
yeah. You have to be careful with who you trust.
Yeah. Don't trust a Karen.
Don't trust a Karen. Unless it's like a person who's named Karen that's not a Karen.
Yeah.
A
I mean,
Karenception.
that's kind of like
No.
falling on the table.
I hear that so many times. Like, most of the relationship issues that I've seen, even in individual therapy, are centered around trust and like people feeling like they don't have anybody to talk to. So I recommend like not only being someone that talks about your feelings, but work on being someone that listens to your friends. Work on being someone who understands without feeling the need to respond. Learn how to hold a space. It's harder than it looks. Silence in therapy is the hardest thing for me. So silence is used sometimes as a therapeutic tool, right? So they're reflecting, something is said, awkward silence. There can be very long pauses. I am a talker. I like to make people feel comfortable. I hate silence. It is so hard for me to do, but I had to learn how to do it because it's a really awesome therapeutic tool if used in the right spot and, correctly, can have a lot of therapeutic gain. So I had to get over it, and that's a skill that I had to learn and override my previous knowledge and what I thought I was helping with, even though I wasn't helping.
And it's an awkward situation every time. And I love it because I'm naturally introverted, even though it's hard to tell if you met me. But that silence means so much. And those moments where I know the person's going to try to break it, I keep them in there. And those are the moments where like I feel like I'm really doing my therapeutic work, even though it's the most minimal thing you can do. And it's just a little bit of an oxymoron, but still, like you just have this breakthrough moment where you realize like this is an aspect of my life I never realized or looked at before, and you're just silent, or maybe you're starting to break down to cry, and your first thought is go to the next thought, stop it, get out of this. And then as a therapist you can say no, hold on to that, stay in that moment, and you just sit there. Ooh.
I had a professor, so we had like a group therapy class, which was, it shouldn't happen anyway. That's a different story. Anyway, so he had this phrase, and it was like someone would say something profound and like go to say something else, and he would say, sit with it. And then he'd go to the next person. So we went on like this retreat thing at the end of the year, and I made shirts for everybody in my little group and it just said sit with it, and it had like a silhouette of a person in lotus pose. But that's something that stuck with me because it's a great phrase. Sit with it, see how it feels, try it on, take it off if you don't like it, but sit with it for a little while, hold it in your hands before you put it on. Like, it's it's a great therapeutic tool. I hate it, but it's a great therapeutic tool.
I didn't know where that metaphor was going. Put it on, bop it, zip it,
twist it.
diagnose it. So
Oh my god. Anyway, we're
so
off the rails.
yeah, so I feel like this made us much better at the end, because I feel less salty now that I did in the beginning. So that's really nice.
That is true. Maybe this is our form of therapy.
Yeah, this is our therapy, just talking to each other, because like Caitlin said before, we really just save it for the podcast. So you're getting all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. So going back to diagnoses in society, just be mindful of the words that you're using and the context that you're using, because you could be, offending someone that you don't even realize you're offending that has that diagnosis that maybe they haven't even told you. And then for you to make light of that, it's not a great idea.
Yeah, and I can hear all the people in their minds and like, oh my god,
Snowflake.
some of them are just fucking snowflakes, and like everyone's a little snowflakey. I'm sure there's something that bothers you that is so minor to someone else. We all have those pressure points. If you want people to respect yours, you just respect others. It's just called fairness, it's balance, it's equity. Please just try.
When it comes to the snowflake sentiment, I always say, like, you're really arguing with somebody because they're hurt by something. You don't get to say that that doesn't hurt them. Also, it's so much easier to life is so much easier when you're nice. It just is. I don't have conflict. Not to say ever, but I really don't. Like, I just it's so much less effort to be kind than it is to be mean. So just fucking be nice.
I can understand being upset about certain things, but if you're upset that someone else is upset, that's like worrying about bloodstains when you stab someone. Like you're the cause of your own issue.
Who the hell cares?
Let it go. Move on. Live your life. It's okay.
That's what I hate. Like, I hate the arguments that it's like, you're really arguing about whether someone has the right or not to feel offended about this. Most of the time, it's a person from a completely different culture that you have no idea how they could possibly be feeling or experiencing. Just be nice, okay? Shut the fuck up and be nice. Don't say it. Another word that drives me, I'm going to say wild. Don't say. I've been really, really, really actively working on not saying the word crazy. I don't like that word. I get that what people think it means, but there are definitely other words that you can use in place of that doesn't have bringing down the mental stigma with you.
While we're on the soapbox, this one's personally hard for me because I'm born and raised New Yorker. Okay. So the word retarded. Oh my God. Listen, I grew up with it. I said retarded for everything. I know it's just part of the lexicon at some point, but it doesn't mean like. All right. Once again, I'm going to step right back off the soapbox real soon. Don't just call people retarded because it's just a word to use. It means more than that. It has a greater meaning. It grew from what it originally started to be. And if I use that word now, I always preference it with, not preference, that's the wrong word. Ooh, preface. I preface it with, and I mean this in the clinical sense. Like this is, and that clarifies it. Don't you're like, oh, that show was retarded. How? What about
another word? And then people get so mad about it's like, is it really that hard to use a different word? Like, am I taking away your freedom by saying, like, hey, my uncle who had Down syndrome would be offended at your use of that word? Like, just pick a different word. It's one of those words that I hear, and I had to unlearn that word myself as well. Like in school, like elementary school, that's everything was. Same with gay. Everything was gay. That's gay.
Yeah.
So unlearning that language, and honestly, it adds a little extra spice to your life because you have a better vocabulary and you don't need to use those words. I'm just
the extra spice. Learning is fundamental.
Yeah. I don't say those words.
Yeah. Try your best. Yeah, there's so many words. And honestly, people appreciate and are shocked when you start using different vocabulary for things. You can show just how intelligent you are if you just switch at the last second. Just throw a new word out there. Maybe you're going to use it wrong or incorrectly, but they'll be like, ooh, fancy. Look at this. Look at this 2-cent person using a $20 word.
That's why I saw like the crazy thing. I started doing that on my live because I used to say crazy for everything. Like, oh, my hair is crazy today, or like literally everything. And I caught myself doing it in my lives, and I made a point to say, like, every time I say that, like, you guys need to call me out and like tell me to replace it. Ask your friends to hold you accountable. You might slip up. It happens. It's language. It's ingrained in your frontal whatever brain stuff.
Put it in your neurons.
But languages, it becomes, there's a part of the brain where language is stored, and it is not that easy to just switch it. So it is a learned thing and something you have to practice and have, ask your friends, if I say this word, can you please call me out about it? Because I'm trying not to say that word anymore. Change your vocabulary, up your professionalism, up your life.
You said up yours.
Up yours.
Anyway, I think that's a good ending for us. So up yours, everyone, and stay tuned. Stay tuned for another Caitlin's Corner as she dies slowly of laughter.
Not up yours. We love you.
Yeah, love up yours.
All right, Caitlin's Corner up next, y'all. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Hello. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Caitlin's Corner. Where I answer the questions that you guys have asked me either through TikTok or Instagram or wherever the heck I asked this week. So let's go ahead and dive in. First question comes from Emily the Bold, who is one of my favorite followers. She's one of my day one girls. Love you so much, Em. And she asked, you can't have an ED if you're overweight, right? So what she's asking is, you can't have an eating disorder if you're overweight. That is false. Actually, statistically, the number of people with the highest percentage of eating disorders is the larger body community. The problem is we may not look like we have eating disorders, so it doesn't get caught. Eating disorders does not just include anorexia and bulimia. It also includes binge eating disorder. There's ARFID. The DSM-5 has really expanded on the number of different disorders that can come with eating. So unfortunately, you can have a just eating disorder at any size. I hate to tell you that, but that's the truth. Okay. Let me see. Oh, I like this question. Okay, so this one comes from Sue Altessa. It says, were you as beautiful before you loved yourself, or does beauty come from self-love? I can only speak personally for this one, but once I started accepting myself as I was and dressing the way that I wanted and doing my makeup in the way that I wanted, which meant that I wasn't trying to be invisible anymore, I did come out of my shell. And I mean, beauty is in, the eye of the beholder. Everybody's beautiful in their own unique way. Was I beautiful before I started TikTok and before I got all this confidence? I was, yes. However, am I more authentically beautiful now because I get to be the real me and present myself the way that I want to be presented to the world? Also, yes. So I hope that answered it. Okay. Let's do one more. Ooh, how do I handle the hate that I get? Good question, especially since I just posted a video yesterday about, I think it was a response video to a nasty message that I had gotten. I always say, I know me the best out of anybody. I know myself. Nobody else can tell me something about myself that's not true because they don't know me. I know me. So it doesn't matter what anybody says to me. You cannot take away from what I know to be true about myself. Now, do I have toxic traits? Of course I do. Everyone does. I'm aware of most of them. Some I'm sure I'm not quite aware of. But the point is that, you can be any size and still be beautiful and it doesn't matter what people think. It just doesn't matter. I have such a hard time articulating that because it's a switch in my brain that was completely flipped. It was like one day I woke up and I said, I'm tired of hating myself. I'm tired of constantly feeling so negative. I'm tired of covering myself up and trying to be invisible when I'm freaking awesome. And I have a lot to say, and I think that people would really benefit from what I have to say. So it doesn't matter what people think. Because I know my heart and I know my intentions, which are only the best, only good for all of you. I don't have any ill will, and I know that. So if someone, accuses me of doing something for clout or for fame or what, I know that that's not true. So it doesn't really bother me. Know your own truth is my best advice for that. That's a really long-winded question. And I think I got lost like partway in it and then backtracked because my antidepressants make my brain a little foggy. That's fun. So I'm going to wrap up Caitlin's Corner for today. It is a special episode. It is my birthday today. This won't be released until Sunday, but today is Wednesday. So it's my birthday, and I am going to go do birthday stuff. I love you all so much. We're going to end out with some affirmations, as always. So if you would repeat after me. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am unique. I am a powerhouse. I put good things into the world so I can get good things back. I love myself. And Dr. Caitlin loves me too. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful week.